Hey folks, Tim Newman with Soft Light Studios bringing you another daily assignment image critique. That's right, we are on to image critique number 2, and the images in this critique span the dates from July 16th through July 31st, 2019. And before we get started, I really want to thank everybody who's participating in this set of exercises and uploading images on a regular basis. It's really great to see you guys out here doing this stuff. I know there's a lot of you watching these videos and watching the Daily Assignments series. We'd love to have more of you contribute your images and upload them to these Google Drives that we've set up for you. The more images that we have in here, the more feedback we can bring back to you and give you more ideas for when you're out there shooting. All right, let's move on to image number 1. Assignment for image number 1 was dragonflies. And dragonflies make for really cool subjects. And they have such personality if they're shot the right way. The challenge in shooting dragonflies is getting them to pose. They don't like to sit still long. This is an ideal early morning shot. And in general, if you're out shooting bugs, that's the best time to get them when it's still cool out. And because they are cold-blooded creatures, they don't move too fast until the sun has warmed them up and got their blood flow going. Let's take a look at this first image here. I love this image. I think this is really done super well. Macros of dragonflies are tough. It's tough to get them sitting still, as I said in the assignment directions. And of course, this photographer decided to prove the point and said, hey, I can get them to hold still anytime I want, which makes this really, really cool. I like this. You know, some of the things here that really work well for me. This is a fairly primary color set, red, green, blue, and the red in the fingernail works as just a perfect complementary color to the dragonfly. I love the way the dragonfly is sitting there looking at us. We have a really pretty good shout out to rule of thirds here. Got a diagonal working its way across the frame. Just a really solid shot. Really can't come up with a whole lot to critique here in the negative. I think this is a fantastic image all around. Thanks for sending it in. Image number 2, Stairway to Heaven. And going up, down, or around, stairways provide for some outstanding line shapes, patterns, and symmetry. Inside or outside, work some stairways near you today. I mean, the poetic creativity in that sentence. I'm stunned with myself. All right, moving along, let's look at something better than that, the picture. Here we have it, Stairway to Heaven shot, and I think this picture captures the essence of the assignment really well. It does a great job with it. I like the backlit kind of open, airy feel to it with the light in behind it. I really think that the center line and the diagonals working up with no destination there in the background really captures the essence of what we wanted here in the picture, no doubt about it. If I were to offer 2 suggestions for moving forward with a similar kind of shot, one is be real careful with your positioning, and I think this shot's got it really pretty close, but believe it or not, a little movement left or right, an inch or 2, can totally change the geometry of the scene. And I'm always looking for that when I'm working, is can I stay centered up and have the lines centered up for me naturally. We've also got just a little bit of pin cushioning, and I'm sure that that's an aberration coming from the lens. Check out lens profiles in Lightroom for all of you that are shooting these shots that have lots of obvious vertical and horizontal lines in them. Sometimes that can just knock that pin cushioning right out of there without any effort. But I really love the shot, love the color set. Very nicely done. Thanks for submitting this. Image number 3, frame within a frame. Normally we are careful when framing up our images, lining things up just so. Be extra careful now. I should have said careful there. A little grammatical error for me to fix later. Now, and use an additional frame to convey your chosen scene. So here you go. This scene here from John Reed, good friend of mine, lucky devil, living out in Colorado now, spending lots of time out in the mountains shooting, completely jealous. Love this shot. I love the way that this opening frames up this S curve in this road that draws us back to this mountain range behind us. There's a ton of really cool elements here that make this shot come together. And I just think the visual elements of it in terms of leading lines in the entry point, exit point, vanishing into the horizon are done really well. I wonder as I look at it, there's some graffiti captured in this frame as well, which I think was inevitable. But I also wonder if that doesn't make for a great juxtaposition element in here in this image as well, the graffiti against nature. That one's one that we always wrestle with as outdoors people that are out photographing all the way, out in the wilderness like this. I really love the shot, and I love that juxtaposition message that's in there, whether it was intentional or not. And I think the alignment in the frame is really done super well. Thank you, John. Mary, Mary, quite contrary. And, I won't continue on with the verse because, little slivers of Andrew Dice Clay might accidentally pop out there. But we all remember Mary, Mary and all the questions about how her garden grew. Well, today's assignment was all about gardening. Now, this may not sound very exciting, but if you take some time and think it through, there are some great gardening shots out here. And I think this shot illustrates that completely. Obviously, some cabbage out there in the garden. Some of the local residents have been enjoying the cabbage already. Fear not, there's plenty of cabbage left. I really like the symmetry and I don't know what I would call it, the pattern in the scene of the cabbage being in the center and then the leaves kind of swirling out in that S curve from the center, if you will. Obviously, a really nice monochromatic color set here, which I think unifies the image as a whole. I think we have the subject sitting in the center, and because the subject's sitting in the center, as it were, we do have a pretty good division into rule of thirds. Now, we don't have the subject sitting at an intersecting line with that rule of thirds, but remember that midline focal point for subjects is becoming very popular, and it's a great way to kind of still embrace that rule of thirds, but back away from it a little bit as well. I like the image the way this is put together. The other thing I would try with this from an experimental point of view is this might make a really cool 1-to-1 aspect ratio crop as well. So 2 images for 1 could be pretty cool. Thanks for submitting this image. Really appreciate your efforts in going out and shooting this and taking some time to upload it. It means a lot to all of us here and everybody watching the video, I'm sure. Last but not least, butterflies. I don't know where that came from. I think I was trying to put butterfly and gossamer together and speed this up for you. At any rate, these light gossamer winged critters have striking lines and colors and make for gorgeous images. Try your hand at capturing some butterflies while the warmth of summer has them out and about. Let's take a look. This image from John Reed again. John gets to spend a lot of time out shooting, and I'm not a butterfly expert. I'm also not a flower expert or horticulture in general. And boy, I'm sure John could rip off a list of names for everything in this picture, and probably the Latin versions too. He really is a true outdoorsman in that respect. And I'm not positive, but I think this is the butterfly / moth that everybody says mimics the hummingbird. That's just a pure guess on my behalf, but that's what I think it is. It doesn't matter what it is in terms of its name, in terms of its picture, it's gorgeous. It's really super well done. I love the way that is in drinking some of the nectar out of this, what looks to be a coneflower to me. I think that's a really cool aspect to the image. I think the color set here is really done very nicely, with some matching elements between the butterfly and the flower, and then kind of the earth tones in the background. Really nice division of thirds here. A couple of great diagonal lines working through the frame in both directions. Really nice intersections. Just overall solid shot. Really nicely done. I don't know if John will be listening to this or if John would comment on this, but John definitely studies butterflies. He's got a series that he did a while back, as I recall, that was kind of a time lapse of a butterfly spinning a cocoon, and then in the cocoon, and then hatching. And I guess it would be the moth, or if you will, spinning the cocoon, and so on and so forth. I'm really good at this whole progression of nature stuff, aren't I? At any rate, if John's got that out there, and it's still sitting out there in some sharing site, and there's a link to it, throw it up there, John, because I think people would get a real kick out of that. Hope to see you out west soon so we can go do some shooting. Thanks for grabbing this image and putting it up. Really nicely done. All right, folks, that's it. We're wrapping up with critique number 2. Again, thanks for participating and contributing your images. If you're watching this as a passive observer, throw your images in the hopper too. If you don't want us to mention your name, don't put a watermark on them, and then they become anonymous without any problem. Definitely check out the subscribe link below so you can keep up to date what we're doing with this series and other YouTube videos. And really, thanks again for tuning in and being a part of this with us here at Soft Lite Studios. So get out there and shoot some more of these daily assignments. And while you're doing so, remember, learning equals skills, practice equals mastery. We'll see you out there.